Hi, everybody. I'm Leslie. Um, and I wasn't really going to do a video on who I am because I feel like I gave my whole life story, but I had students of mine, actually old students, were like, you should do a video of yourself because that way people get to know who you really are and everything. And I was like, well, feel like I already told everybody, and I went back to like fifth grade, you saw, and they were like, yeah, but people can need to see you live and see what you actually like and stuff. And I was like, okay. So I have some old students who gave me a few questions to answer, and I'm going to answer those questions just kind of like off the cuff. So I have my cheat sheet right here. So first question I was recommended to ask was, what do you think makes for good writing? And to me, good writing, what is good writing? First of all, good writing is clear. And so I'm going to focus on academic writing since that's what, this site is about. So being clear, but being interested in the work. I think when you're interested in what you're writing about, it shows, even if it's, an essay about, I don't know, you know, um, Romeo and Juliet and you weren't that into the book or whatever. Well, if you can really find a way to relate to what's happening, it's gonna come off in your work. So I always try to help my students not just write the work, write the essay and answer the essay question, but really, like connect with what they're writing about, whatever the topic is. If it's responsive literature, if it's persuasive writing of some sort, it's how do you as an individual connect with what you're writing about? Because if you feel that connection, and even if it's just for, I hate to say just for while you're writing, but I think actually when you form connection with something, it lasts. So I don't think you just kind of drop the connection, but if you can you know energize that connection and really put some of yourself into it, and not where you're faking it, but just feel it. Then it comes through when you're writing. There's just an energy that your writing has. There's a certain energy, a feel, a momentum that you have while you're working. Um, and so that's what I think makes good writing, is if you have a real interest in it. Now, of course, the mechanics, being clear, um, you know, um, being having the correct structure, um, explaining your ideas as fully as possible. So I go by clarity, thoroughness, um, and just kind of having a voice when you're writing, like the writer's voice coming through. I think those things make for good writing. But I think more than anything, um, you can have two pieces side by side that say the same thing, but if a writer, or if the person who's doing the writing is feeling what they're writing, and sometimes you may not feel it intrinsically, but if you can make an effort to feel it and really say, well, how can I connect with this work? Just be interested, be curious about life, then that comes through, and that makes the difference to me. So, okay, next question. There are 6 questions. What do you like most about tutoring? Um, I like seeing a student grow in confidence. I like seeing a student um, begin to, as I'm modeling what to do, I like seeing the student begin to do those things and begin to say the kinds of things that I say, and to begin to internalize the processes that I'm teaching, and begin to you know, just own the process. I like seeing that, where I can say, well, okay, grasshopper, look at you. And I like being able to do that. That's fun for me. And I like just, I like, what I like about tutoring is that no matter what's going on around me, if I'm having a bad day or a hard day or whatever, um, like, when I get into a session, then I'm not thinking about anything other than that. I like the fact that I can totally forget myself and really, really just give myself over to the 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 session in a way. I like that the most about tutoring. Yeah. Let's see. What was Harvard like? Okay, I get yeah. I always get that, and I get students say, "Wait a minute, you went to Harvard?" And I'm like, "Do I not look like I would go to Harvard?" And they're like, "No, no, 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 no. I wouldn't. I don't mean that. You just seem. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I just wouldn't have thought that." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I did." And I'm gonna actually tell a story about that. But first, let me answer the question. So, what was it like? Um, it was wonderful. Like it was actually I was not really expecting it to be that great. I thought I was going to be surrounded by a bunch of boring people who were like I really thought this. I thought it was going to be just boring and sucky and like not fun. But it was the most vibrant learning experience, like with being in formal education or it was like there were so many interesting people, but the program was less than a year long, so um, you couldn't. There wasn't time to get to know people or to get to know a lot of people, and there were so many wonderful people in the ed school, so or in the school, the graduate school of education, which is where I was. But what's interesting is that I did get to take one class in the business school, and it was an elective for people in the business school. Um, and it was such a different feel being there. Like the Harvard Graduate School of Education, it's called we call it Hugsy, and it is like a Hugsy type place. Like it's super friendly. Whereas the business school is all about you know like well, I disagree with such and such. Well, I mean, while such and such point is obvious, da 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 da, I feel this way, and it's like, dang, is this how people speak? Like, is this like, are y'all for real right now? But that was a culture. That was a culture of the business school. So the culture of the ed school is very inclusive, very friendly. Um, you know, so it was awesome, and the professors were great. I went kind of during a year where the two professors that I really really wanted to work with were not there, but I still had a great experience. I remember my first semester. I had 4 classes, and all of them were stellar. And then the second semester, the classes were still good, but that first semester it was just like amazing. And I will say it wasn't until grad school that I felt like I was a really good student. I didn't realize how much I liked learning, and so people develop at different rates, and people have different experiences at different rates. But you know, so it was a wonderful wonderful experience for me. So the story about Harvard is that I never planned to go. It was not. I lived in New York for 3 years, and I didn't even know where the school was. Um, and I don't tell the story that much because I don't even think I've even mentioned it to my family because I didn't think people would believe it. But the truth of the matter is that I was sitting in my apartment one day watching TV. It was on a weekend, and somebody said the word Harvard on TV. And I said, out of nowhere for no reason, I said, I'm going to that school next year. And I had no reason to say that. I had no desire to go. I didn't know where the school was. I thought I'd go to get my PhD at NYU since I already knew professors there, and was familiar with the ed school there. And the feeling just wouldn't leave me alone. Like I really didn't want to move. I was happy with the school where I was teaching, um, and it was just something that just would not stop. It was this feeling that I would miss out on the rest of my life if I did not go and uproot myself and leave. And and it was like a crisis time. It was very, very scary for me. Um, but you know, I did go, and it wasn't like there was this big thing that happened where it's like, oh, now I know why I went. I don't think I would have gone to teach in Brazil afterwards if I hadn't gone, because I met, another person in my program that said he taught all over the world. I was like, how'd you do that? And he told me, and so I went to a job fair and got the job. And so there's no definite point where it's like, I know why that thing happened. Oh, here's why. But there was just no question that that's what I had to do. And that was the weirdest thing because, you know, all I knew was that I had to go. I had to go. So, it was the only school I applied to. It wasn't, but, and I had the sinking feeling. It's like, I know I'm going to get in because I really don't want to go. I was like, it's going to be boring, it, but it was awesome. Now I can't live there though because the weather, I can't do cold weather like that. Like it was unforgivably cold, and I don't. I'm not down for that. But it was an amazing experience. Okay, next, why did you leave the classroom? Um, the short version, because I did teach. I taught in New York, and I taught in Brazil, and I taught in Atlanta, middle and high school English. And I left because I stopped loving the classroom. I remember when I finally quit, because I tried to stop teaching a couple of times, but I would get sucked back in. But when I did leave for good, it was like, you know, the semester before I left, I felt, I wake up and feel, like panicky inside, and, fighting tears on the way to work, and just a lot of anxiety about doing lessons that I had done for years and had enjoyed. And it was just a terrible feeling, and I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't understand why it was happening. I thought, teaching, at least teaching in the classroom, was going to be what I was going to do for life. So it was a real crisis because it's like, what do I do, and who am I? What does all this mean? Because I didn't know. So it was a crisis, but it did. It was good to feel like a nobody. You know, because it showed me that you're not a title. No title defines you. So whether you're a quote unquote somebody, you have a big position, and I mean, not to say teaching was like a huge position, like socially or whatever, but it gave me an identity of sorts, and I felt like I didn't have an identity when I wasn't that anymore. Um, so it was good to go through that, although it was very difficult. Um, but yeah, that's why I left. And now, I mean, I just think life is about learning more and more and more who you truly are, and just really fighting to be true to that. And so, um, and if you do it from the time you're, starting out, then it makes life easier. But sometimes you can't know things. Like I didn't start creatively writing creatively again till I was like 29. And so I wish I had known, maybe I would have been a creative writing major instead, but it you can't know things before you know them. And so now I just feel a lot more accepting of knowing things when I actually know them. So yeah, but that is why I left. I left essentially because I stopped loving it. And I think when you know that when something just doesn't make you happy in a really fundamental, long-term way, then you need to leave. You're not doing anybody a favor by staying in that situation. So yeah, that's why I left. sound like I'm talking about a relationship. It sounds like I'm talking about something really deep. But I guess it's true then too. Um, Actually, it is true then too. But anyway, let's see. What do you do if a student isn't getting a concept, no matter what you do? Okay, so if a student is just not getting a concept, I'm laughing because my first thought is, and I have a student in mind that I'm thinking of as I say this, is I get impatient a little bit. I do. I get a little impatient where not I'm impatiently patient, or maybe I'd say I'm patiently impatient, where I'm first going to ask like, what's going on? Like, are you concentrating? Are you trying right now? Are you too tired to work? Like, do we need to stop? Um, so I try to just find out like what's going on. And the student says no, because I'm like, are you really trying right now? Because maybe you're not. If you're not trying, then we need to stop. But really, what I try to do is, if I feel like the student actually is doing their best, then and when I say I get impatient, I mean like I get impatient if I feel like somebody's not trying. That's when I can tell like when I know someone well enough. And I'm not mean spirited. It's not none of this is it's writing tutoring. It's not actually. I mean, most of the time there's just not a need to be a jerk about things. So I try to I'm just like come on, be real. What's up? What's up? Let's talk for a second. Like let's chat for a minute. Let's be real. Like, what's the problem? Is it that you don't want to do this? Are you feeling resistance to it? Are you like, is there something going on in your life to where it's just not gelling in this minute for you? Like if I've really tried everything and it's not working, because generally what I do, it works. If I get to know the student and I'm really tuned into them, which I really make an effort to do, and if I know the work, then generally it works. We move forward in some way. So if it's not happening, then generally it's something not having to do with tutoring that happens. But um, so yeah, I'm not impatient. I'm not like mean spirit in that way. I'm not like mean spirited and like I'm just like, all right, let's come on, let's talk. I mean that when I say I'm impatient. Um, but what I do is I try to just back up to where the student, let's pinpoint exactly where the lack of understanding is happening. So that's it. I just try to see, and generally, you can just pinpoint where the ball is dropped to see whether you're carrying the ball. Okay, here's right here, right here, right here, right here. All right, let's stop there, and now let's inch forward a little bit by a little bit. So that's what I do. Last question is, what makes you a good tutor? Well, hopefully I'm a great tutor. I hope so. My goal is to be the best that I want my best to be the best, and I don't think that I'm the only best. I think there are a lot of, and I'm actually sure there are a lot of great writing teachers and tutors and great everything in every profession. But I think there's more than one way to be great, clearly. And so I think what makes me great, and I do strive to be outstanding at what I do. First is that I really do get writing, um, and I'm good at helping other people get things. Like I'm good at teaching things, and I have a real interest in it. And I think, though, more than anything, is that I'm interested in life. Like but first I'm interested in people. So I'm interested in whoever I'm working with. Like I want to know who that person is, and I'm not sitting there talking about stuff that isn't, you know, we're not just gabbing for days and stuff. But um, I do. I like to understand people. I like to, you know, I just like to know them, and then from there, I'm really interested in whatever we're learning about. Like I really see it as an opportunity to learn something new. And the great thing about teaching and tutoring is that, especially when I'm working with middle and high school students, and you know, lit based essays or history based essays, it's really cool to go back and read with them or reread or relearn stuff that I read and learned back in high school. And it's also cool when stuff that I didn't read or get to read or study, I get to read and study it with them. So, but it's nice to go back and I remember I've done the Odyssey several times now with different students, and like reading it in high school is like, ugh, like what a chore. And I really understand like why, who would want to read that in high school? But reading it as an adult is, it's like you get the whole metaphorical, symbolic thing behind it. It's not just words. It's like it's journey. It's like there are trials or tribulations. Now most of the time there aren't goddesses that you just get to stay on their island and chill, and they don't age, and they're like you don't get that kind of stuff. But just how people grow. Telemachus or Telemachus and Penelope, and how they grow and reveal themselves. It's all really, really, really actually interesting to me. So I think that's what makes me unique in what makes me really good, or um, hopefully great, hopefully outstanding, is that I'm really, really just curious, and I'm fascinated, and I like learning new things. So, yep. So I think that you know enough about me at this point, and so feel free to reach out and email me, and I hope to hear from you and hope to work with you soon as well.